Okay, so here it is. This is the graph, and I'll just run you through a little bit about the bike. So you got the 400-mile-old 2022 Panigale V4 base model. It has got the Sprint, is it the PF08 or whatever the really good air filter is, and it's got a Pipeworks half system. And the Ducati V4R 2019 with 3,500 miles on it. Exactly the same air filter, exactly the same exhaust system, and I also swapped the wheels between the bikes, so they had exactly the same rear wheel and tyre on, and then we did our runs. The V4R, we just did a power run, so it doesn't show you the revs, and that's why we don't have the torque curve. But as you can see here, rev for rev, the 1100, as you'd expect, because it's a 10% bigger bike, or 10% bigger capacity, just monsters it. And on this dyno, on this day, they basically made the same power, 206 to the 1100, 207 to the V4R. There is one other difference, which is the mapping. The 2022 bike has the Woolwich ECU flash, which was done by MSS Performance, and the V4R has the SLR handheld tune, a canned tune, if you like. And I think the Woolwich gives you an advantage because obviously it's specifically mapped for that bike, and any little tiny details they'll pick up and iron out, whereas the SLR is generic. So when we look at these graphs, you'd be thinking, why don't you just have the 1100? And you'd probably be right. But they're very, very similar, aren't they, the lines? It just seems to be that the V4R revs a bit harder. So what I did was and bear in mind I'm not an expert, I'm just a butcherer really. I just picked up the V4R line and moved it to the left, and I suspect I've moved it to the left about 2,000 revs. So here we are. This is if you just move the graph backwards 2,000 revs, so the R, and those power lines are pretty much identical. You know, there's obviously the V4R is a bit up in the middle there. You can just see the red lines above the purple line, and then near the top of the revs it sort of drops down a little, and then pretty much they end at the same spot. So basically what that tells me is these engines are the same. Obviously they're not. I'm going to get cut down for this, aren't I? But you know, when you're riding the R, you are always revving it more. You have to get the power going. And it's disappointing we don't have the torque curve, because the torque curve would show us that it's making less torque everywhere. So I think the 1100 engine's easier and gives you better drive, but just from a Billy Basics comparison of the power, there isn't anything in it. And it's there in front of your eyes to make up your own assumptions. You know, I'm sure a lot of you have more knowledge than me on this and will pick it apart in a better way than I have. But that's what I've been able to do and give you guys. So I hope some of you found that enjoyable.